Welcome to the Super Intelligent Podcast. We are back with episode 2 of our new name. I'm Emily Forlini, and I'm here with my co-host, Mike Elgin. Hi, Mike.
Hey, how's it going? I'm here in Mexico City and having a good time. And you're in your new house,
I'm in my new house in New
new
Jersey, which is
office.
a little different. Yes, I have seen you posting some delicious food from Mexico City.
It's unbelievable, the food here. It's incredible. We've been having like so many good dinners. My wife knows all the best chefs in this city, and they just make us
Roll
all
out the
kinds of
red
great stuff.
carpet.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, it's wonderful.
Well, this weekend I'm going to a wedding. So I'm on the wedding circuit. My friends are getting married, and a tech related topic that's very relevant is almost all of them met on a dating app,
Wow.
including me and my husband who got married last summer. So it's just this huge generational shift. And, like I'm thinking about my wedding table tomorrow. I asked my friend who's at my table. Everyone met on a dating app and will be there with their partner, except for one of them who met his wife on their freshman hall. But
Wow. Old
really,
school.
in my world, it's a super high percentage are meeting and using dating apps. So I don't know what you think about that. It just seems like a huge shift.
They didn't exist before I got married. And so I've never even seen one. Like, which are the apps that people are using? Is there one that everybody gravitates to, or
I think in my world it's Hinge,
Hinge?
but
Wow, I've never even heard of that.
yeah, and that's been around for a while, like maybe 10 years. And
Okay.
there are other ones. I think like a niche one is Grinder, which is more like the gay dating app. So there are niche ones, but in general, people are kind of using like the same ones.
Yeah. And so you put it a profile, you say you like pina coladas and walks in the rain, and then people see your picture and they're swiping through it, and if they swipe in one direction, both people swipe, then you can make a contact. Is that basically how that works?
That's basically how it works. You definitely would swipe no on anyone who puts pina colada cliches. Actually, unless they both like pina coladas, right? Hinge, the same one I just mentioned, actually rolled out an update to have AI write some of your answers because people were putting too many cliches. So
Wow.
yeah, they're optimizing, like adding new features, trying to embrace AI. Another issue, actually, that I'm wondering if we're past this peak dating app that I'm talking about, where 95% of my friends are using them, is that they're not doing well financially. And so Bumble is one of them. And Bumble just laid off 30% of its workforce. Hinge
Wow.
is not doing well. Tinder is not doing well. So it's like, was that just it burned bright and hot and it's actually not sustainable? Or like, where's dating going?
Well, before we get into dating specifically, I'm so confused by companies that have paying customers, and all they offer as a service in return for those payments is a website and an app. Like, that's pretty cheap, or it should be, or could be. You think about things like Airbnb. Airbnb is this massive global company. I use it heavily. They take massive fees,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't supply anything except a website. I know there's more to the website. There's content, there's guidance, there's all these kind of things. I'm sure they have marketing people and all the rest. They have really nice headquarters in San Francisco. But how are they not just making billions of dollars in cash? Because like them and Uber and Lyft and so on, they're half their users are supplying all the financial stuff, the material goods, the capital, if you will, and they're just providing a website and connecting people. Like, how are any of them going out of business?
Yeah. And I mean, dating apps like I said, all these people are using them. So how could they not be the most robust business ever? People are trusting them with this intimate process. And one way they make money is there are subscriptions. You can buy little features to get connected with certain people or see more matches or be able to say yes to more people per day. So you have a longer list. So they have all this monetization. And honestly, it's very off putting. Like nobody likes it. But people feel like, oh, I just have to play this game. I have to do this or I won't get matches. Everyone's on these apps. So it's also kind of a downward spiral. So you can see like, yeah, they kind of should go out of business. Like this is really unlikable.
Yeah. Now, I've heard criticisms of the whole dating app concept. The benefits of it are obvious, right? Because you can really start from the point of shared interests, theoretically, right? And that's a great place to start, because you may, become infatuated with somebody in the workplace, and then later find out you just have nothing in common. One person wants to travel all the time, the other one's a homebody. One person, is super into junk food, the other one. So with dating apps, you can start with some shared interests, which is nice. But it's also like people put in it's sort of like, to me, it's like the problem with job sites that use AI to filter. Like there's so many people have been passed over who are super qualified for jobs just because they clicked the wrong box and the company's not even considering people who click that box, right? Or something like that. And dating apps, you can see it's the same thing, right? So you're like, oh, gosh, I'd really like to date somebody who has these criteria, but actually your dream person might actually not meet one of those criteria.
Yeah, exactly. And
And
then
you'll never know them.
you'll never know them. And it's just a very different experience. I actually think people might meet through shared experience or interests less on dating apps, possibly
Really?
because it's not, yeah, because it's not like, oh, I have to join a soccer league to meet someone. I have to go to this bar where they have trivia, or I have to, I always go to this coffee shop. It's not like you're actually really committing to an interest. You're kind of just like out there, whatever you put on your profile. These are very generic platforms. Like I said, it just feels like everyone's on them. It's not like we're here to play soccer because we like soccer. So
Yeah.
it's a bit, yeah.
Well, we've certainly come a long way since Jane Austen, where women had to sit at home playing needlepoint, hoping Mr. Darcy would come along and save them from becoming a spinster. Like,
Yes.
I mean, obviously, this is a million times better than that, and it's also, we're in a situation post COVID where actually younger people just aren't getting out. They're not meeting. They're not really dating. There's all kinds of I don't know. There seems to be all kinds of problems with people making connections and forming relationships. So
Yes.
this has
There's
got to help.
all help and hurt. Help and hurt. I mean, is it better to sit on your couch for 3 hours swiping on a dating app or to go see someone? Like,
Right.
probably to go see someone. But then it's like people feel like there's this chore of dating. Like, oh, I have to meet someone. I have to go on the apps. I
Right.
have to swipe. So it just becomes an odd social picture. But I actually pulled a little bit of data because I'm saying everyone uses dating apps, but I'm looking at the numbers and everyone is not using dating apps.
Just you
So
and your friends.
apparently, I mean, okay, to preface this, this is sample size from a lot of different cities. I've lived in LA, Seattle, Chicago, New York. Everyone is using dating apps, and all these people at the wedding table all met in different cities, different ones that I mentioned. So that's just my view of the world. I'm in my 30s, so that's what's going on with those people. But according to Pew and another research center, only 30% of US adults have used a dating app. But when you get to the younger generations, it's more like 50, 60%.
Well, that makes a ton of sense because a huge number of people are married already in committed relationships. Yeah, I have my step sister has 3 kids, and all 3 of them are having a destination wedding in a single year. So we're going to 2 in Mexico and 1 in Italy. Fortunately, we're always in Mexico and Italy, so it's no big deal for us, but it's probably quite a burden. But I'm pretty sure all 3 of them met on dating apps as well.
Right.
Be wrong about that. But yeah, it's and of course the biggest benefit is that the person is looking for a relationship. Like in
That's
the
a
real
huge
world,
benefit.
that's most people are not, probably, right? So it ends up being I imagine a frustrating experience. But so that's cool. And so just to get to the financial part of it. So let's say, what did you say? Bumble is going out of business. Maybe
Bumble.
they're
So
cutting back.
look at you using the name. So Bumble has a unique approach. Do you know what Bumble is?
I assume it has to do with being stung and honey and things like that.
You're
No, I
right.
have no
No.
idea.
So Bumble is the only one that the woman has to message the man first.
Okay.
So that's their thing. It's kind of like more of a safe space. You don't get weird messages from guys spamming you. You're not getting like dick pics. Maybe you'll get one if he responds with that, but it's more like female led. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that's the reason that it's failing because Hinge and Match are also apparently having layoffs and financial troubles. But that's what Bumble is. So just a little sample of what's out
I
there.
see. Is that the one you used?
I have used that.
Okay.
I don't know. It's personal preference. I was like, well, they might as well message me too. Like, it's just
Yeah.
more work. Yeah.
Here's a personal question. How many duds did you have to go through before you met your husband?
I haven't struggled too much with dating, I gotta say, but and I'm very grateful for that. But I had a long relationship, and then I was on the dating scene for like several months in Chicago, and then I met him. So I got really lucky.
Yeah. Well, as I mentioned before we started recording, I just posted a piece on my newsletter this morning about virtual girlfriends and the impetus for that. Besides some new research, it seems like the constant flood of research about how damaging this type of AI is because Elon Musk is rolling out virtual friends, virtual girlfriends, and it's super creepy what he's rolling out on Grok. So he's got this like, anime type of character who's like, very girlish. It's very disturbing. And then you can earn points and move up to a not safe for work mode and all this kind of creepy
Of
stuff.
course.
And the other one is a red panda character who's basically Elon Musk. It spouts all these offensive things. It tries to shock you. It has even told some users they should commit arson and other crimes and things like that. And the idea that this is his big contribution to sort of interactive friends or whatever is its own disturbing
It doesn't check
development.
out from the man who wants everyone to be impregnated and impregnating others. Like, you can't do that with an
Well,
AI. So how does that?
but he doesn't really seem to have relationships with the people he's
No.
mailing, a DNA to them and stuff like that. So, to the best of my knowledge, he's not like Mr. like close personal relationship. In fact,
No, I mean, he
nobody seems to
has
like him.
none of his baby mamas like him. Like,
Yeah.
Grimes, the DJ, has like filed for custody and publicly feuded with him. There was that conservative influencer. Did you see that one? He impregnated her and then refused to claim the child. And like, what?
Yeah. I try to not know about that stuff, but somehow some of it leaks into my brain. But like,
I hate
but the
it. I
reason,
think it needs to be spoken. I think he's
yeah,
awful. And
yeah,
that is a big reason, and no one talks about
right,
it. People are
right.
just like, "Oh, he's an entrepreneur. Oh, he's so successful." And it's like, he's a piece of shit. Like, how much research do we have to have on like, kids who don't grow up with fathers to just say like, "Yeah, he's a piece of shit." I don't get it.
He claims to be this big engineer, this big science oriented person, this big data oriented person, right? And so surely he must have seen the data on virtual girlfriend type apps that show that when people get into this stuff, yes, it's addicting, right? Because it's always, people who are lonely are craving interaction, right? With a person. And this sort of like partially like begins to like satisfy that craving to have this kind of interaction, but it actually makes people less motivated to interact with people, more sort of, if they have social phobias or whatever, it makes them more socially phobic. It makes them less adept at interacting with people, because interacting with people, it takes some work, takes some practice. You have to be willing to like, not be offended by things if people maybe say the wrong thing, to be able to talk things through, all that kind of stuff. But these AI chatbots is all flattery and all this
Totally.
kind of stuff. But the whole thing is disgusting. But for him to, presumably he or his team, right? You're going to get into an area, you should know that the social psychology research behind it. It's clearly a bad thing for most people. Teens are getting into these things on other platforms. And, 6% of the teens surveyed that are using these other main three virtual friend or virtual, girlfriend or whatever platforms, don't even want to talk to real people anymore. They just want to interact with this online character. Microsoft years ago had a chatbot trained on social media called Showice, and something like 25% of Showice users at some point or another told Showice that they were in love with it.
What's that
Right? So
name? Showice?
Showice, it's a Chinese.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's Chinese. So these are
So foot
Microsoft
and mouth.
researchers in China, entirely a
Okay.
Chinese team. Yeah, I don't know what it means. It's the suffix ice, I think, is throwing us off. But the point is that this is bad, right? And to see this bad thing that's toxic and negative and harmful to young people and counter to what we need, which is to form, actual relationships with real people. That's what we really need. And to say, hey, that looks like a great business model. Like this is the thing. This is why everybody hates Silicon Valley. They take a dystopian, disturbing thing, and they're like, hey, there's a lot of money being made in that idea. Let's do the metaverse, right? Which was
Yeah.
always a
So like, look
dystopia.
at the engagement metrics on people who talk to chatbots. Like, they're talking all day. They're using our tech all day. Like, let's do this as much as possible.
Yeah. And so anyway, my sort of like sarcastic and not expected to be followed advice to Elon Musk in my newsletter was, hey, you know what would be really amazing? Imagine a chatbot, like, get rid of the LLM Lolita, I called it, and actually create a chatbot that's a wingman, right? A
Mm-hmm.
chatbot that helps you with conversations and sort of helps you with social stuff and like encourages you and boosts your confidence, so you can walk up to strangers and start up conversations and how to be nice and how to be a good person and how to be social, right? Because if that's the problem post COVID, that people are just staying in their houses and not going out because they're afraid, or they're, afraid of rejection or whatever, okay, use AI to help people with that. Because what all the research shows is that people who are lonely and turn to relationship AI, right, become even lonelier. There's a dead end road, right? There's no good, presumably some people could have good relationships and use those things for other purposes. And I'm sure there may be positive uses. I can't think of what they might be. But for people who are having problems forming relationships, that is not the road to getting what you need in life, which are real connections with real people.
Yeah, I agree. I tend to think that the people who are actually like marrying chatbots will remain a niche use case. I really can only hope. Like if that becomes not niche, like just kill me now. I can't
Yeah,
live in that world.
I I think basically at some point everybody becomes Japan, right? So I mean, people have been marrying their sort of like their pillows in Japan for like 20 years. They used to sell pillows that have an anime character like printed on the
Okay,
pillow,
got it.
right? And then there are some people who married their pillow or whatever. Really sick stuff. Really really disturbing, psychologically problematic stuff, which has left Japan and now is sort of spreading worldwide. But I don't know how much of that stuff is publicity stunts, or
Right,
it's hard
right.
to tell.
I tend to think a real world problem with AI and relationships that a lot of people might experience is that people are talking to chatbots for relationship advice. And there was a Reddit thread where some guy commented, there's a subreddit called Am I the Asshole? And it's kind of like, hey, like, what's your comment on this situation? Like, am I thinking about this wrong? And he was like, am I the asshole that every time my girlfriend and I fight, she throws back ChatGPT quotes at me, or she'll go in the closet, ask ChatGPT about our argument, and come back out with new ammo. And that is problematic. I mean, who knows what she's telling the chatbot, whose side of the story. Now she's saying, look at what the internet thinks. This chatbot knows everything about relationships. It probably consumes all the couples therapy data. And it thinks that you're not treating me right, and this, and that. And here the chatbot is really changing the relationship. And I think that's very rude of her. I don't know what you think. I don't think that guy's the asshole, but I think that's a real world problem.
Yeah, I mean, people substituting their own judgment, their own thoughts, their own experience for, because it'll give you good stuff no matter what you're looking for. It'll give you ideas you hadn't thought of. But that's the problem. If you didn't think of it, it's not yours. You're not talking. You're not the one.
Right. And it's not, it
And
doesn't know everything. Like it just
yeah,
knows what it tells you. And it has this compulsive obligation to respond. Like anything you say to a chatbot, it'll have something to say. And it's like,
right.
it doesn't even really ask clarifying questions. It just comments.
Here's a very confidently given
Right.
response every time. I think one of the things is, I think we need to somehow, as part of parenting, as part of our education, need to really understand something that most people don't really understand, which is that all the stuff in life, all the sort of fuzzy stuff in life, ethics, morality, relationships, interacting with people, being social, these things are learned skills, and you never stop having to learn and work at these things. The most surprising of these is ethics and morality. People think, oh, that's a good person, that's a bad person. No, you have to, if you want to be an ethical person, you have to work at being ethical every day, because we're just talking apes. We are not designed to be ethical people who think things through and act on principle, right? So that takes a lot of work, and relationships take a lot of work. It's interacting with people. You go and, I mean, look at that. This is what Groundhog Day was about, right? You've seen the movie, of course, right?
I
Okay,
haven't seen the movie.
so see Groundhog Day, fantastic movie.
I'll see it this weekend.
Bill Murray is a douchey kind of weatherman. He's like, he's a kind of shallow person, and he goes to, and he's a local news person who's given like these fluffy assignments. So he goes to Puxtahoney, Pennsylvania, or something like that, where they have the groundhog who comes out
Punxsutawney
to see
Phil.
us.
I know that.
Yes, that, yeah. So he goes to cover that as a TV reporter. So they're with the news van. There's a cameraman, and he's got his producer there or something like that. And they go and they do the whole thing, and then they have to sleep in a hotel that night and wake up the next morning. When he wakes up the next morning, it's still Groundhog Day, and he does it all over. And he remembers yesterday, but nobody for everybody else, it's the first time the day has happened. And
All
it
right,
happens
that's a good
again and
premise.
again and again. So like 150 times he wakes up and it's still Groundhog Day.
There's a newer movie actually that's like that. It came out in the last 5 years. They're at a resort in Palm Springs. I think it's called Palm Springs, and they just
Yeah, that's
wake
like a
up and
horror movie though, right?
I don't know. There's so
I
many
don't know.
movies that are like vaguely
Yeah.
horror movies now. I don't
Yes.
really remember.
But what's interesting about Groundhog Day and what makes it so brilliant is he keeps trying to do. He falls in love with his producer. He keeps trying to make something happen with her. He starts out as a total douche, and she's like, "Oh my god, this guy's awful." He tries to be a total arrogant person. He tries to, and he gets to know everybody in this town. Like at first, he's like a city guy in this small town. He's very dismissive. But after spending the same day over and over in this town, he falls in love with everybody in the town and really gets to know them. And it's like a redemption story. And at some point, he just gives up and he's himself. And this woman that he's, in love with responds to that, not all the phony stuff he was trying and stuff like that. But that's actually, life is like that. Like you have to learn how to be a social person, not necessarily in a romantic sense, but just to be a person in the world who interacts with people takes a lot of practice. Takes a lot of practice. And if you think if you don't know that and, you sort of became a shut-in during COVID or whatever, or you just incline toward, introversion, you think, well, I'm just not the kind of person who can talk to people. Well, that's not true. We can all talk to people, almost all of us. And we got to practice every day, all the time, for months and years, decades.
Yeah,
And
and I
that's what
think you're
people
a
need to know.
good advocate for like just skill building through AIs. So I mean, you have to have self awareness. How much is it helping me? How much is it hurting me? Like, can I use this tool, like you said, to gain confidence? Can I use it to understand human dynamics, or can I, maybe feel validated in my interests? And I bring that to a conversation with a friend. Hey, I've never told you this before, but I'm really interested in this fantasy book series. Like, does it help you get out and actually get that satisfaction of the real world, or is it making you a shut in? So really that's on you and even the people around you to be like, hey, I noticed you're like, look at your phone every time you're using ChatGPT, or hey, like you keep referencing ChatGPT, like how much are you using that thing? So I think it's a group effort, but it's got to stem from the person.
I think also, since we dwell in the various realms of technology, we have to understand why we, at least at a surface level, why we do what we do. Like, why am I so exercised about politics? Well, for many people, the reason is that I need a community, I need a tribe. And my side of the political aisle is my tribe. And so making war against the other side is how I support my tribe, how I acquire membership and status within that tribe. Okay, why would somebody use like a virtual girlfriend app? Because you need a human connection, right?
Right.
So once you understand why you're doing some of these things, why am I go to poker sites all day? Why do I doom scroll? Many of these things are behaviors that emerge because something is missing in our life, and the thing that's missing is not available through an app. Right. And so we tend to think, we tend to dismiss the importance of social connection, and to our detriment. And so I have to say that this is something I've learned. Most people make most of their friends in high school and secondarily in college. The people we meet at work, one or two in our career may become a friend. Most are acquaintances. As soon as we leave the job, we're pretty much done with them, except on social or whatever, right? So in other words, it's a cliche to say that it's hard to make friends as an adult who's out of school.
Yep.
And as somebody who's been traveling, my wife and I have been traveling the world for 19 years or something like that, with the exception of 2 years that I worked at Twit. I've made 99% of I have both my wife and I, she has way more friends than I do, but like we have so many really close friends that
That's
we've
awesome.
made like in the last 19 years, right? Many in the last 5 years. And so why do we make these friends? Well, we travel, right? And when you travel, like that's an opportunity to open up and interact with people. When you travel in a certain way, so we're not on vacation, we sort of live in other places. You run into people. We're passionate about food, so we connect over food, stuff like that. So to a very large extent, forming relationships and friendships and so on is very much a matter of just getting out there. You got to go outside and go where people congregate because it's
Yeah.
not going to happen in your house or on your phone.
Yeah, that's kind of a dream. Like you've kind of figured it out. I do think it's really hard for adults to make friends. And if you're rooted in your community, you have your job, you have your family, you have your routine. It's like, where do I find people? And it's hard to break out of that. And it's idealistic to be like, oh, we're traveling the world and we're just meeting people who are, their best vacation selves. So it's, I don't know. I mean, maybe there's a role for technology to connect friends, but actually Bumble has done
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
Bumble had this whole thing, Bumble BFF, and I
Yeah.
knew people who met friends on that app and, kept them. But then there's friend dating too. So they tried that. I don't think it really took off, but I do know a couple people who met friends through it.
I have met, and my wife and I have met, I think I would say 4 or 5 or 6 people through Google Plus that became, friends in real life, right?
Cool. Wait, what
And
is
we still
Google Plus?
Google Plus was the social network that Google had from 2004 to 2000 something or other. Yeah, it was a great social network, and
Wow,
but
no
it.
one says that sentence. Like
I
nobody
know, I
says that's a
know.
great social network.
I know, but Sundar Pichai, that dirty, rotten bastard, killed it because my theory is that he got into a war with the guy. So the company was kind of divided in half. The Sundar Pichai was the Chrome like online sort of web thing guy, and then Vic Dotra was the photos and Google Plus and YouTube guy, and they each one wanted their part of the company to take over the other part of the company. They got in a big war. Vic Dotra lost, and Sundar Pichai Vic Condotraized the entire company to its detriment. That's
He
my
won.
theory. That's my theory. Yeah, that's my theory. And
He also has no light behind his eyes.
yeah, no, he's a he's
He's
he.
just a dead man
There's
walking.
no evidence that he's a human being, but
No.
he and Mark Zuckerberg may have come from the same factory in
So how did
China.
he make a good social network if he's not in the human species?
No, Vic Condotra was the guy who doesn't work for Google anymore, who left. Was a very, very warm person, very social person. He really got it, and I think he was making a lot of headway, making Google kind of an awesome company. But he lost politics, and what are you going to do? But the point is that was a social situation where we actually made really good friends. Like we made a friend who lives in Mexico, and we went to their house and we hung out and we traveled a bit together, and we still interact. We had another one who lived in Switzerland. We went to Switzerland, stayed at their house. I mean, like real friendships, right? So it can be done through social interaction. I just wish these companies would sort of kind of facilitate a little bit, which they have the means to do. Like if they, like I said with Elon Musk, if he was trying to help people meet people and form real connections, I would have a lot of respect for how he's using AI. But no, he has this ridiculous panda thing and the sort of like the giggly girl thing, which is it's disgusting. I'm sure there are going to be more
Oh, I'm
characters and
sure.
stuff like that, but why are
I just
those the most important ones that have to be rushed into the public?
Yeah, it's just hard because we don't know who's making all this technology. Like, are all the engineers extremely introverted with huge social anxiety? Like, are we using the social technology of people we socially emulate? Elon Musk, no. Also, he clearly struggles with empathy. He struggles with interpersonal relationships. I mean, he's very unstable. So it's just hard because it's presented to you as this neutral, technology system that's super slick and everyone's on it. But it's like, what is this thing? And is it the right? Is it right for me? And I do think getting out and seeing other examples is very important. Like yours is good. Like that's a different way to do it. So just different examples, I think, can be very healthy. And if you're on ChatGPT all day, you're not going to see that.
That's right. And the other example besides Elon Musk, of course, is Mark Zuckerberg, who has more social users than anyone by far. And he strikes me as somebody who lacks empathy, lacks the ability to connect with
Yes.
people. And that's why his dream is to have whatever humans are on his social networks be interacting mainly with bots and virtual people, right?
Bizarre. Yes.
It's bizarre, but I think you nailed it. It's like they're a particular kind of people trying to remake the world in their image, the way they
Yes. And they
see
have a
it.
ton of money and they can do it. And it's just on us to say, I don't want to do that.
Right?
Like,
I hope people do.
I had a social positive this week. So, yeah, we moved into this new house. We recorded an episode of this podcast in which I didn't have doors, which ended up being a disaster. We didn't publish it. But we're here. I'm in this house. So, we're on a new street. It's a cute little block. And I'm meeting some of the neighbors. So, I met one neighbor just by walking down the street. I just waved and said, hi, we just moved in, the basics. And then they told another neighbor about us who brought us cookies and then in a Tupperware, and we had to go bring back the cookies, and then we met them, and that's fun. And I think everyone's into it. We're like, now there's like a group chat going, and that's just a fun thing. I mean, we live near each other, so it's like,
Yeah.
ooh, everyone's kind of tickled,
Yeah.
like, ooh, who are these new people? Let's be friends.
See, now that's good old fashioned American culture, because so I think our grandparents and great grandparents had a lot to teach us about this kind of thing. That used to be very normal.
I used to do
Welcome
that
to
growing
new.
up. My parents, when we moved in, we brought everyone food or
Yeah,
everyone alcohol or flowers. Like
right.
we went to every door and we're like, hi, we're this new wacky friendly family. Like come meet us. So that's what I think is normal. And I'm happy that
Yeah.
other people still do that.
The other thing that our forebearers did that we don't do anymore, and actually the United States was very famous for this sort of thing, is they were joiners.
Yes.
Everybody belonged to social clubs and political causes, and the Rotary Club type, local clubs, business clubs, and most people belonged to multiple clubs. And a lot of people used to go to church, right? And so there was this overlap of where everybody was kind of overlapping. Like somebody that you went to the same church with went to a different club than you did, or somebody that hung out every Saturday at the barbershop or whatever were in different religions and went to different churches. And even somebody who had the same religion, the same church, might belong to different political parties. And it was very normal for everybody to expect that everybody had their collection of associations. And now we sort of just, our association is, what is the social network we use? What is the political party we're on? And that's the end of it. And it's not working. So I think
No.
we really need to look at what our grandparents and great grandparents used to do. They used to join, get together in meet space. I don't think they used that word, and associate in person, for the reason that you can affect change in the world through collective action, and people need human connection. That's it.
And that, what was it? Alexis de Tocqueville. He was like a writer in the
Yeah.
early
Yes.
1900s.
He
I
pointed
think
that out. He
he
was in
pointed
the
that out.
19th century. I'm pretty
Wasn't
sure.
I 18 or 19? Someone
1800s. I think it was in the late 1800s. Went all over the U.S. and was marveling at how un-European everything was.
Yes, but he also wrote famously about the fall of civil society, as he called it, which is exactly what you're saying. He thought it was happening back then.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
just fully collapsed now. But I'm a little bit of a weird case where I'm trying to bring that back. So I have joined a local club. It's actually a women's club. And I think like everyone in this town, like a lot of women are in it. And I'm making some connections. I'm now their like technology person, which I guess I'm helping their website. It's, I would say, skews older, but there are some younger people. But I mean, I'm fine being a younger person in these spaces if I can, I think, convince other people to do it, because I think this is healthy. And also, I have no problem interacting with people of all ages, and it's still fun to meet people. I do wish there were some more peers, but I'm trying to bring it back.
Well, just stick around long enough and you'll be one of the old people.
That's pretty much what I'm thinking. I'll just become lichen. I'll just become a bump on a log, and then I'll just be in the flow.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so I want to shift gears and talk about something else that I discovered recently, because OpenAI announced that they were going to start doing, they don't use this language, but they're going to start profiting from affiliate links. Essentially is what they're going to do. So what they want to do is they have like shopping scenarios and stuff like that, where if you are looking for certain types, you're looking for scuba diving equipment, they'll show you ads. And so, if you click on the link of one of their partners and you go to the scuba diving super site and buy something, OpenAI gets a piece of it. That's what they're working toward. This to me is a malign incentive, because it basically incentivizes, they've built a dial or a lever in their organization where they need some more money this quarter. Let's just kind of tweak the algorithms a bit to favor those partners, because we know that we can turn that up, turn that down. They're never going to turn it down. They're just going to keep turning it up. And so they monetize it in three ways. They sell subscriptions, they sell advertising, and they now sell essentially prioritized placement and, essentially. And it turns out, this is the part that I didn't know either, is that Perplexity does that sort of thing also. Perplexity has
Not
a
your
partner program.
beloved.
Yeah. And so what they do is they have these partners, many of them which are media organizations, content creators, where they have lots of benefits going in both directions. So basically, they're essentially paying for the content they're using to train their AI, internal access by these organizations to special features within Perplexity. So they obfuscate the scandal with all these different contractual deals. The scandal is, if you're one of their partners, you get preferred mention in the results, and you get preferred placement in the list of sources, and you get highlighted branding. So the partner branding stands out more, right? Okay, this is a slippery slope. It's problematic on its face because users don't know this. They're not making sure that users understand that this is, users think that the results are unbiased. They are not. And so that is a transgression right there. Imagine if Google did that. But
right. What Google says sponsored or advertisement, but if they didn't have that, that's what it would be.
And everybody insists that Google and display that information, and people complain that Google over time has allowed enshittification in the form of minimizing the difference between paid and not paid, non-paid results, right?
Yep.
Because they deliberately want a higher and higher percentage. Again, it's a dial. They want a higher percentage of people deluded into thinking that the paid search results are unpaid search results. But they don't just flat out say, here's the results, and have the top 3 results being paid. I mean, I think Amazon does that. But
I was going to say, Amazon does that with its products. Remember that whole thing?
Right? But that's commerce. I mean, that's, to a certain extent, I think they've kind of shot themselves in the foot to a certain extent, because if something's so what do they call it? A critic's or a favorite
Amazon choice.
Amazon choice. Okay, there's a lot of BS behind that, where it's not because a panel of experts has evaluated the product and deemed that it's good. No, there's a financial relationship there.
Right.
And so when I see a product that's 4.7 stars and an Amazon choice, and another one that's 4.5 stars and not an Amazon choice, I assume that the 4.5 is better rated and a better product.
So that was one of the teams I was on at Amazon, was that team. So I do know that there are different factors that go into the Amazon choice badge. One is profitability for Amazon. So there are customer reviews, out of stock rates, and then also how much does Amazon make. So when it's Amazon choice is also a product Amazon is manufacturing and getting huge margins on. Now they're doubling down, and that's why there were lawsuits.
Yeah. But the theme here is that companies set themselves up with this. They literally they figuratively build a slippery slope that is there for them to turn to in times of financial need or whatever. It's problematic with the AI chatbots, because they've had so many billions and billions of investments, and it's problematic elsewhere as well. And I just
So okay, the obvious counterpoint is, doesn't the media do that? Yes, it does.
In what way? What do you mean?
They take affiliate revenue, they have subscriptions, and they have other streams of income as well. So why, just a thought experiment, like why is it bad if the New York Times or Wired or PC Mag, they do that? Or why is it good and fine if they do that, but not OpenAI?
Well, I mean, what extent is it disclosed if they have affiliate links? I mean, I've seen disclosure around affiliate links, and I assume I've seen non-disclosure. But like PC Mag, does PC Mag do affiliate links?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And do they disclose it?
They disclose it. Yeah, there's a banner at the site. It's disclosed, but it's still the same thing you're talking about, where it is almost like a lever, where if you do want to have, I don't want to reveal everything for PC Mag, but it's not like other people aren't doing that. It's, and it was a slippery slope. Now affiliate revenue, it is an incentive, like a profit incentive, but media companies are for-profit companies. So unless you're PBS and NPR and you just got defunded by the government.
Right.
But so that's just the question, is why.
But let me ask you this. I think one difference may be, and again, this is going to vary according to, well, certainly varies when you get to YouTube influencers hawking products, but let's talk about PC Mag. I assume that PC Mag puts in a reviewer to review the top 10 cameras of 2025. And the decision about which cameras is entirely the editorial decision. They're
Yes.
not choosing the cameras based on who's offering a deal for the link,
No, there is no communication like
because
that.
that's what's
Yes.
happening on ChatGPT and
Got it.
Perplexity, and that's what's happening on Amazon. Again, Amazon is not pretending to offer independent information per se. I mean, they kind of are in the reviews, but PC Mag is basically saying, okay, these are the ones that we decided without any influence on for affiliate links or advertising, by the way, and so let's monetize these links. That's very different, and they're also disclosing it, so it doesn't bother me. I do believe that. A lot of influencers on YouTube and especially TikTok, the big trend is that they're hawking products in a direct paid deal and they don't disclose it. And they've got all these, they're influencers. So they're influencing a lot of
influencers are
people.
making tons of money on this
Yes.
stuff. Yeah.
And they have, there's no, we in journalism have a professional ethos. Some
Yes,
don't practice
that is a
it,
difference.
but the best publications clearly do. And there's no ethos, there's no tradition, there's no history, there's none of that stuff in the online influencer market, where it's just a shameless money grab, tricking people into thinking that the person themselves is completely like independently decided that this product that they're hawking is the most wonderful thing ever and you should definitely buy it. It's shameless. And we were so saturated by all this kind of content that people kind of shrug and go, yeah, whatever. So it's a problem.
Yeah. People just think exactly. They think it's, oh, they really like that cell phone or they really like that car. No, they don't. No, they don't. Yeah. And another, just to give a little color to the journalism ethos. So the way it works at PC Mag is editors and the business side are not allowed to speak to the writers about money. So they're not allowed to say, your article made this much money. There's like a hard line in the sand that is not broken to maintain editorial independence.
Yeah.
And there should be no incentive for someone to rate something a 5-star, 3-star, 2-star for financial reasons. And so this is a type of thing that is ingrained in the culture and built up over years that I think you make a good point doesn't exist at these other places.
Right, and I'm very familiar with PC Mag. They were our number one competitor in when I was editor of Windows Magazine. There's sort of a revolving door of people going back and forth from one to the other. We hired people from PC Mag. PC Mag hired people from Windows Magazine. Other people went to different publications, and that whole set of all of those publications that had their roots in that sort of computer mag boom in the 90s. Were super legit publications with high editorial, sort of higher editorial standards than many other publications that cover things like politics and stuff like that. It was really galling, to see that come unraveled when the sort of the physical magazines gave way to the online magazines, which gave way to the blogosphere, and people like O'Malley would come along, and who was highly influential, would write all these reviews essentially praising companies that he had invested in. So he had a personal investment in, and everybody respected the hell out of him. And it was kind of like, what the hell have we been doing all this time? What's the point of it all? And in my case, I never owned tech stocks, still don't. And it's like, people, I'm sure that 99% of the people who consume the editorial content are like, well, why?
Right.
But I just can't bring myself to do it because I was so immersed in the ethics around that kind of thing.
I think that's good.
Well, it's not good financially. I can make a bundle.
Well, these are trade-offs we make. Yeah. I mean, maybe one day you do it, try it out.
We didn't get journalism for the money, that's for sure.
No, we didn't.
So.
All right, well, anyway. I got to go to this wedding.
Well, have fun and sort of try to get some more intel about exactly people's experience with the dating apps. I think that'd be interesting to follow up on that. And maybe we should follow up with all these newlyweds in 10 years or something and saying, so how did that dating app thing work out?
We should.
What does your new husband think of the dating apps and stuff like that?
Yeah. I mean, mine?
No. I'm saying you could ask your friend in 10 years, what is your brand new husband?
Yeah, they met at yoga. You didn't meet on a dating app. Yeah. Well, I'll
Exactly.
ask. I mean, this could be good fodder, a new way to talk about dating apps. Because one thing is when you're off the apps, you stop talking about it, you stop sharing
Right.
the fun dating stories. But
Yeah.
maybe this could be a good conversation topic. Just kind of like
Absolutely.
the whole trend and like where is it going?
All right. Well, if you're listening to this or watching this, you are a super intelligent viewer or listener, and we thank you for doing that. We are the realest podcast, the purest podcast in the entire business, I think, or at least we aspire to be. We don't have ads. You can't give us money. We don't have, speaking of our poverty, we don't
We
have
don't have affiliate
paywalls.
links.
We don't have a rundown. We are two people having a conversation, and soon we'll even have a branding image on our podcast. But for the time being, you can give us a super high rating and you can give us a nice review if you like the podcast. And that's all we ask from you, other than your devoted listenership or
I have an
viewership.
ask. I
Okay,
have
what is that?
something I think would be fun is if people
What's that?
commented just like, who are you and where do you
Yeah.
live? I think would be
Yes.
really fun. Like it's just such a small community. So it'd be cool to know like who's listening.
And we even have an email address, which I don't think we did the first time we tried to do a podcast with the new name. So the email address is superintelligentpodcast@gmail.com. So yes, shoot us an email and tell us anything you want to tell us, feedback, suggestions, whatever. We'd love to hear from you. We actually have a kind of a pretty fast growing following here, subscriber base. We're in a bunch of different media. We're Substack. We get some people following us on Substack.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. I'm like, are people craving just more authentic content? I mean, we do work in this, we live in these worlds, so we kind of know what we're talking about, but it is cool to see that it's growing so fast.
Yeah, I mean, what bothers me about so many of the podcasts, I was listening to the Slate Political Gabfest yesterday, and they interrupt the content to do 3 ads in a row. Then they talk for 20 minutes and then 3 more ads. There are podcasts that start out with ads before they even say anything. There are podcasts that spend 20 minutes talking about nothing about the concert they went to or wherever before they get to the content. There are so many podcasts that get you really interested, and they say, well, if you'd like to hear the rest of it, you need to subscribe to Slate Plus or Sam Harris's whatever. And all of those things irritate me greatly. I'm also irritated by the overly artificial, sort of overly professional tone of a lot of the podcasts that come from the mainstream media and decided to do a podcast. It's like, I don't think that's what this medium is about. This medium is about natural conversations, and that's what we're trying to do here.
Amen.
Yeah.
I agree.
So thanks for listening and or watching, and we'll see you next time.